can think of an example of a young couple where the husband has decided he wants to spend more time with his buddies, and his wife doesn't like that too much. And so the first time she talks to him about it, she's kind of pleasant about it, and he doesn't seem to care too much about her feelings, and he continues having his meetings with his buddies. The second time she talks about it, she gets a little bit more nasty and a little more critical, and this time he avoids her even more by staying out a few more times that week. And the more he stays out, the more critical and nasty and hurtful she gets in her comments toward him. But in this case, this particular woman decided that maybe she could approach him a little bit differently and see if she could get a different response. So instead, the next time when he went out, when he came home, instead of criticizing him for it, she asked him she showed interest in what he'd been doing. And she explained to him that she really did understand his need to be with his friends, and that she would just like to spend a little more time with him, but she really didn't have a problem with his being out with his friends. She understood that. He was a little surprised by her compassion and understanding, and so the next night, although he was planning to go out with his friends, he ended up coming home to spend some time with her. She decided to change, and he was responsive.
If you take the marriage vows, and it's a contract, that if you truly, truly believe that you're going to honor the contract, it keeps you together so that you don't leave at the first signs of there's a problem. We have a commitment, and that means that we'll work through it. Maybe not tonight, but we'll work through it. That's what a commitment means.
I know a woman who has very little tolerance for conflict. She just doesn't like when there's anger. And she happens to be married to a man who frustrates himself very easily and angers easily. And in the years that they were married, every time he would get angry, her natural inclination would be to rush in and try to calm him down and tell him, it's okay, don't worry about it, it's not so bad. And that would make him even angrier because he was frustrated. So he would get angrier, she would try to calm him down, he would get even angrier, and then of course she would get angry, and then they'd have an argument. And this sort of pattern went on for a very long time in their marriage, until one day she decided to do something different. And he was in the family room, actually on the computer, working on something, and she was in the kitchen, and she heard him starting to grumble about something. He was saying, I wasn't at the training on Wednesday, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how the boss expects me to get this done, and he was getting louder and louder. And she was drawn into the room, and she was almost going to do her usual, which would be to try to calm him down, but instead she decided to really do something different. She went over to the desk, and she pounded her fist on the desk, and in a very loud voice she said, I can't believe this is happening. If you weren't at the training on Wednesday, you don't know what you're doing. You're never going to figure this out. You're just going to get angry. This is going to ruin our evening. And there was dead silence. And all of a sudden he looked up at her and he said, settle down, I'll figure it out. And it really was the first time that this woman realized that there was something that she could do that would get a different response out of him. And she decided to try that approach a little more often in her life.
One of the things I teach people is to give 51%. If you each give 51%, you'll be fine. But if you walk around thinking, well, what has she done for me lately? Or what has he done for me lately? Right? I spend most of my time with my wife thinking, what does she need? Fulfilling her needs, knowing that in exchange, I'm going to get my needs fulfilled. But my focus is totally on her. What are her needs? How can I fulfill her needs? And her focus is on me. And it works.
Divorce leads to a major reduction in the standard of living for most women and children. It is the leading cause of poverty for women and children in the U.S. On average, married couples have 2.5 times more wealth than couples who are not married. Divorce fundamentally changes the relationship between the non-custodial parent, usually the man, and the children. Anything that's neglected will start to deteriorate. Marriage takes investment. You need to keep on investing in the relationship. The majority of divorces result from the lack of communication or poor communication skills.